Hello, my friends, and welcome to Night Whisper. This is a quiet place where we drift together into an unanswered sky slowly, calmly, and without fear. Here, we don't rush toward conclusions. We listen, we observe, and we let the mystery breathe. If these stories bring you a sense of calm or keep you company through the night, you're always welcome to stay with us. Subscribing gently helps this space grow, and it allows more quiet minds to find their way here. You can also leave a soft, like if the story helps you relax, unwind, or feel less alone beneath the night sky. And if any thoughts rise as you listen, you are welcome to share them in the comments below. What if one ordinary drive home changed your life forever? Not because of a car accident, not because of a violent storm, but because something impossible appeared above a lonely Texas road. Something so powerful that witnesses later claimed it left burns on their skin, stole their hair, and transformed healthy people into lifelong patients. For more than 4 decades, investigators have debated one haunting question. Did 3 ordinary Americans witness an alien craft? Or were they accidentally exposed to a secret military technology that was never meant to be seen? This is the complete story of one of the strangest and most controversial UFO encounters ever recorded. Cash-Landrum Incident, December 29, 1980, had been an ordinary winter day in Texas. The Christmas holidays were almost over. Families were beginning to settle back into their routines. The highways were quiet, the air was cold, and nothing suggested that history was about to unfold on a deserted stretch of road deep inside the piney woods. That evening, Betty Cash had spent time visiting friends with Vickie Landrum and Vickie's 7-year-old grandson, Colby. The 3 enjoyed a peaceful outing. They laughed, they talked, and eventually decided it was time to head home. None of them could have imagined they were about to become part of one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in modern American history. The drive began like countless others. Dark forests surrounded the narrow road. Towering pine trees blocked much of the moonlight. The highway felt isolated. Occasionally, another vehicle passed. Otherwise, the silence belonged entirely to the Texas wilderness. As Betty drove carefully through the darkness, Colby suddenly noticed something unusual through the windshield. A bright light. At first, nobody paid much attention. Lights appear in the sky all the time. Airplanes, helicopters, stars low on the horizon. There was always a simple explanation. But this light behaved differently. Instead of moving steadily across the sky, it appeared to hover. It remained fixed above the treetops, and with every passing second, it grew larger. Betty slowed the car. Vickie leaned forward. Colby stared through the windshield without blinking. None of them spoke, because each of them realized they were looking at exactly the same thing. The brilliant light continued growing until its shape became visible. It wasn't round. It wasn't shaped like an airplane. It wasn't anything they had ever seen before. Hovering above the trees was an enormous diamond-shaped object. Its surface glowed with an intense orange light. Flames burst violently from beneath it. The fire wasn't ordinary. It looked more like a giant blowtorch pointed directly toward the earth. Then something happened that transformed curiosity into fear. Heat. Even inside the car they could feel it. Not mild warmth, not engine heat. An overwhelming wave of temperature that seemed impossible, considering the object remained suspended high above the road. Betty instinctively stopped the car. The object now blocked their path. It hung silently over the highway as if waiting. The closer they looked, the stranger everything became. The flames beneath the craft pulsed rhythmically. Bright. Dim. Bright again. Every burst seemed to send another wave of unbearable heat across the pavement. The dashboard became hot. The windshield felt warm beneath Betty's fingertips. Even the metal door handles seemed to absorb the mysterious energy. Fear spread through the vehicle. Vickie urged Betty not to leave the car. Colby had already begun crying. But Betty wanted a better look. She slowly opened the driver's door. The moment she stepped outside, she realized something was terribly wrong. The heat was almost unbearable. It felt as though she had stepped directly beside an industrial furnace. Her face burned. Her hands instantly became hot. Even breathing felt difficult. Yet, despite the danger, she couldn't stop looking. The object remained completely silent. No engine noise, No propellers, no visible means of staying airborne. It simply floated above the trees, surrounded by blazing fire. Then another sound shattered the silence. Helicopters. One helicopter appeared. Then another. Then another. Within moments, the sky seemed filled with them. Witnesses would later estimate they saw more than 20 military-style helicopters surrounding the mysterious object. Some flew beside it. Others positioned themselves behind it. Their powerful rotors echoed across the forest while the strange craft continued floating ahead of them. The scene looked impossible, almost like an escort. If the helicopters belonged to the military, then what exactly were they escorting? No one inside the car had an answer. Eventually, the blazing object began moving again. Slowly, deliberately. The helicopters followed. One by one, the lights disappeared into the darkness until only silence remained behind. The extraordinary encounter had lasted only minutes, but none of them realized the real nightmare was only beginning. Relieved to be alive, Betty climbed back into the car. Nobody spoke during the drive home. Each person remained trapped inside their own thoughts. Had they really seen what they believed they had seen? Would anyone believe such an unbelievable story? Could three ordinary people actually witness something beyond human understanding? They hoped that after a good night's sleep, everything would feel less frightening. Instead, morning brought something far worse. At first, Betty developed a severe headache. She assumed stress was responsible. That seemed reasonable. After experiencing such an emotional event, anyone might develop a headache. But the pain refused to disappear. Instead, it became stronger. Her eyes began burning. Her skin felt painfully hot. A strange sensation spread across her face, almost identical to severe sunburn, except she hadn't spent a day beneath the summer sun. She had spent the evening driving through freezing December air. Soon, nausea appeared. Weakness followed. Standing became difficult. Walking required effort. Meanwhile, Vickie Landrum noticed something equally disturbing. She felt exhausted beyond anything she had experienced before. Her body seemed unusually heavy. Simple movements demanded tremendous effort. Young Colby also began showing signs that something wasn't right. Whatever had happened on that lonely highway appeared to have affected all three witnesses. That fact immediately caught investigators' attention years later. One sick person might be coincidence. Two could still be questioned. But three independent people becoming ill within hours of the same encounter. That demanded an explanation. Unfortunately, no explanation ever came. The symptoms grew worse with every passing hour. Betty's headache became almost unbearable. The burning sensation that had started across her face slowly spread down her neck, across her shoulders, and into her arms. Looking in the mirror, she noticed her skin turning an angry shade of red. It looked almost identical to a severe sunburn, except she had never been anywhere near sunlight that day. Then came the blisters. Small at first, then larger, painful, filled with fluid. Each one appeared without warning. It no longer felt like stress. It no longer felt like exhaustion. Something was happening to her body, something no ordinary illness could explain. Family members became alarmed. They urged Betty to seek medical attention immediately. At nearly the same time, Vickie Landrum was experiencing her own frightening decline. The 70-year-old grandmother felt weaker by the hour. Simple tasks that had always been effortless suddenly became exhausting. Walking across a room left her breathless. Her joints ached. Her muscles felt drained of strength. She had survived difficult moments throughout her life, but nothing had prepared her for this. Young Colby was suffering too. Normally energetic and curious, the 7-year-old became unusually quiet. His appetite disappeared. He complained of headaches. His eyes looked irritated. Instead of talking excitedly about the strange object they had witnessed, he avoided mentioning it altogether. Children often recover quickly from frightening experiences. Colby didn't. It was as if that mysterious night had stolen something from him. Within days, the three witnesses found themselves sitting in doctors' offices, trying to explain the impossible. They described the brilliant diamond-shaped craft, the unbearable heat, the flames, the dozens of helicopters. Then they described the illness that had followed. Doctors listened carefully. They examined burns that shouldn't have existed. They documented swollen skin, painful blisters, severe nausea, eye irritation, weakness, exhaustion. Every symptom was real. Every symptom could be seen. But identifying the cause proved almost impossible. Nothing fit neatly into a familiar diagnosis. The medical staff treated the injuries as best they could, but privately, many were puzzled. How could 3 healthy people suddenly develop such unusual symptoms after witnessing a mysterious object? The question lingered unanswered. As the weeks passed, Betty's condition became the most severe. Her skin remained painfully sensitive. The burns healed slowly. Then another devastating symptom appeared. Her hair began falling out, not a few strands each morning, not the gradual thinning that sometimes comes with age. Large clumps, day after day. Every time she brushed her hair, more of it remained in the comb than on her head. Watching it disappear was heartbreaking. Hair is more than appearance. For many people, it represents identity, confidence, normal life. Now Betty watched hers vanish without explanation. Doctors continued documenting everything. The more evidence they collected, the stranger the case became, because Betty's symptoms resembled something rarely seen outside industrial accidents and nuclear emergencies. Radiation exposure. The comparison shocked. Investigators, no doctor claimed they had proven radiation caused her illness, but the similarities were difficult to ignore. Burned skin, eye irritation, extreme fatigue, hair loss, persistent weakness. Many of the symptoms appeared remarkably similar. If radiation had somehow been involved, where had it come from? Certainly not from an ordinary aircraft. Certainly not from a weather balloon. Certainly not from stress alone. The mystery deepened. News of the strange incident slowly spread beyond Texas. Local investigators became interested, then UFO researchers, then journalists. Unlike countless UFO reports based solely on eyewitness testimony, this case offered something different. Medical records, hospital visits, visible injuries, physical evidence that something extraordinary had happened, even if no one could explain exactly what that something was. Among the researchers who became fascinated by the case was aerospace engineer John Schuessler. Unlike sensationalists searching for headlines, Schuessler approached the mystery like an engineer solving a technical problem. He interviewed the witnesses repeatedly, compared timelines, examined medical reports, studied the weather conditions, looked for aircraft records, and searched for independent witnesses. What he found only made the mystery more intriguing. Other people had reported seeing unusual helicopter activity that same night. One independent witness, police officer Lamar Walker, described multiple military-style helicopters operating in the area. His account wasn't identical to Betty's, but it supported one crucial detail: the helicopters. If those aircraft truly existed, someone should have known where they came from. Military helicopters don't simply appear without records. They require pilots, maintenance crews, fuel, flight plans, orders, paperwork. Investigators believed those records might finally reveal the truth. They began contacting military bases, requesting documents, interviewing officials, searching for anything that could explain the strange formation seen over Texas. But every path seemed to end the same way. No agency admitted responsibility. No organization acknowledged operating such a mission. Official responses consistently denied knowledge of any aircraft matching the witnesses' descriptions. The answers raised even more questions. How could so many helicopters be seen by multiple witnesses, yet leave so little evidence behind? As frustration grew, Betty and Vickie reached a difficult conclusion. If the government knew what happened, then the government should answer for it. Medical bills continued piling up. Their health never fully returned to normal. Their lives had changed forever. Eventually, they filed one of the most unusual lawsuits in American history. They sued the United States government. Their arguments centered on one simple belief: if military helicopters escorted the mysterious craft, someone in the government had to know what it was. The legal battle attracted nationwide attention. Newspapers covered the extraordinary claims. Television programs debated the evidence. Supporters believed the women deserved answers. Skeptics argued the entire event had been misunderstood. Years passed as attorneys examined documents, interviewed witnesses, and searched for proof linking the helicopters to a government agency. In the end, the court dismissed the case. Not because the judge declared Betty and Vickie liars, not because the court proved the encounter never happened, but because there wasn't enough evidence to legally connect the mysterious object, or the helicopters, to a specific government organization. The burden of proof had not been met. For the witnesses, it was a devastating outcome. They had lived through the encounter. They had suffered the illnesses. They carried the scars. Yet the answers they sought remained out of reach. Decades have now passed since that cold December night. Betty Cash has passed away. Vickie Landrum is gone. The lonely road through the Texas pine forest still exists, looking much as it did in 1980. Travelers drive it every day without realizing the mystery that once unfolded there. To this day, no universally accepted explanation has solved the Cash-Landrum Incident. Some believe the witnesses encountered an extraterrestrial craft. Some remain convinced the helicopters point toward a classified operation that was never intended to become public. Skeptics continue proposing more conventional explanations, though none fully account for every reported detail. And that is why the Cash-Landrum Incident refuses to fade into history. It wasn't just a strange light in the sky. It wasn't only a remarkable eyewitness account. It became a mystery that appeared to leave physical evidence on the people who experienced it. Whether the truth lies in secret technology, human error, or something beyond our current understanding remains unknown. But one fact has never changed. On the night of December 29th, 1983, ordinary people drove down a lonely Texas highway, expecting nothing more than the journey home. Instead, they became part of one of the most controversial UFO cases ever documented, and perhaps the most unsettling question of all still remains unanswered. If whatever hovered above that road was powerful enough to leave invisible scars on the human body, what exactly was it? And who was really controlling it?